and happy Friday. It's Coach Becky with your Friday Fit Tip. So this month we've been talking all about functional movement. And I've really been highlighting functional movement for women over 40 because it's so important that we stay strong functionally to simply do activities of everyday life, whether that's getting up off the ground, lifting something, picking it up and putting it overhead. Those are all functional movements, and if we use those functional moves in our strength training routine, we not only get stronger, but we also get stronger for just things in everyday life. So, we talked about the squat, we talked about the lunge. Today, it's all about the hinge. This is one of those moves that here in studios across the United States, we coaches are working really hard to get really good form because you can get hurt with this one. So we have to be really, really careful. Here at Life Sport Fitness, we start with the basics. If we can't get somebody to hinge with no body weight, with no weight at all, we just work on body weight hinging until they get the hinge right, no additional weight. And here's how we start training the hinge. A hinge motion is flexion at the hip, but not the spine. It's different than a squat in that there's much more knee motion in a squat, much more knee flexion. Here, we're gonna keep the knees soft, and if you think about it, really what's moving is my trunk over the top of my hip bone. What we get when we show people a hinge is either bending over, there's no hinge here, or we get this. Or we get this. That's even worse. So here's how we start with learning the hinge here. 3 points of contact with the dowel. At home, you could use a broomstick. Point 1, the head. Point 2, right on the spine between the shoulder blades. Point 3, this bony plate in your back. And what we'll ask the client to do is to hinge forward, butt back, a little more weight on the heels than on the toes. And they've got all points of contact on this dowel or broomstick if you're at home. That is a proper hinge. And again, if you think about it, it's just from the trunk or from the hip bone up to the head, the trunk that is going over the top of the hip bone. Another way to teach a hinge, and we'll often do this, is we'll ask somebody to kind of get near a wall and we'll ask them to hinge and stick that butt back until they touch the wall. Usually about 12 inches off the wall will do it. Once we have mastered a really good, safe hinge, we add resistance. We can do that with dumbbells. Chest is open, feet are about hip width apart, and off I go, kind of scraping my shins, if you will. We don't want to go any further than parallel with the floor. Most of the time, we don't even have people go that far. Right about here. Gets those hamstrings and glutes activated, right? So the hamstrings and the glute in a good hinge are the muscles that are working. And then your stabilizers are up here, your back extensor muscles. What we don't want is to use all extensor muscles and pull up. We want to think of pushing those heels into the ground to activate the glutes and the hamstring on the way up. From there, we could use something like a sandbag. Same thing. Hinge, come up. We might do a staggered stance. Hinge, right? We could do a single leg hinge. So lots of ways to functionally train the body with that really super important hinge motion. As always, learn the base move with no external resistance, no weights, no sandbags, no toys. Once you've mastered that hinge, then you can add in external resistance, kettlebells, sandbags, dumbbells, small children, cats, and then we add more resistance as you get better, and then we add in those variations. So, Coach Becky here with your Friday Fit Tip, one of our 3 out of 4 moves that I'm going to show you in this month. Maybe we'll even go into next month to do more functional moves. But today is the hinge. Make sure you do it safely, get coaching, videotape yourself, use a mirror, or use a coach to get that hinge done safely and effectively. This is Coach Becky. Make it a great day.